Despite rumors of a dysfunctional and toxic work environment within Vice President Kamala Harris's office, the White House continues to argue the turnover rate is natural after a busy first year in the White House. Joining us right now for some analysis is Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Happy Monday, Armstrong. Good to see you.
Good morning, Jan.
Last week, senior advisor and chief spokesperson Symone Sanders did announce her departure from the VP's office. Now, this comes just 2 weeks after the communications director for the vice president announced she, too, would be leaving. What do you make of these departures from her office? What are you hearing from your sources?
You know, actually, it shows that there's just a total meltdown in the vice president's office. Many people have seen her numbers in the 20s, knowing that she really has little or no chance of being a presidential candidate someday. And the fact, this is something that has followed her all throughout her career, Jan, whether in California, the United States Senate, her presidential run. Even one of her former staffers wrote a piece in the San Francisco Chronicle outlining her deficiencies. We were all very critical of Willie Brown, her mentor, when he said to her, if Biden offers you the post, don't take it. While the glory may last a few weeks, it won't last forever. I advise you to look at other ways in terms of how do you serve this country. Obviously, there's a combativeness between her staff, where they're not on the same, blame each other, and that no one is talking about. You would think Kamala Harris, being the first woman and the first American Black to occupy that position, that President Obama, Michelle Obama, the Congressional Black Caucus, the civil rights leaders would be speaking out in her defense, saying she's being marginalized, she's being tied down, and part of the reasons why she's not successful is because Biden and his White House handlers, but no one is saying anything. It's as if she's on a free fall. It's as if they want her to fall out of the way, to have little or no chance of becoming president of the United States. And we know Biden is fragile. Everyone knows this. Whether the media wants to admit it or not, but Biden is very gingerly right now. And so the fact that there's a possibility that he may not even serve the next 2 or 3 years. So she's in a very pivotal spot. She's a heartbeat away from the presidency. And yet no one comes in her defense and try to defend her and try to figure out what it is they can do to make her vice presidential.
It's interesting you mentioned that because you were talking about Gil Durans, the former Democratic strategist and aide who quit after 5 months working for her back in 2013, because for a sitting vice president, he wrote an op-ed sharing that he was not surprised by the narrative surrounding her office, explaining further, quote, "It's sad to see her repeat the same old destructive patterns under the harsh gaze of the Washington press corps." And as you mentioned, perhaps the reason this will continue to get more attention is because, quite frankly, her name's been floated for a potential presidential run. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, they don't want her to run. The establishment, the Black elite, the Biden inner circle, they've probably decided that Pete Buttigieg or somebody else will be the viable candidate if Biden does not make it for the next couple of years, or if Biden decides not to run. The deal is in. Kamala Harris is not the candidate. They found someone else, and that door is shut. And there's nothing she can do between here and now to change that forecast, Jan.
Armstrong, while you're here, I want to talk briefly on Jussie Smollett, the former Empire actor who police say staged his own racist attack so he could get some sympathy because he was not happy with his deal on the show. What do you make of how this case is being covered? Considering when it first came out, mainstream media covered it, never questioned him. Even when his claims started to fall apart, they didn't touch it.
Wall to wall, an environment that Trump created, a toxic environment for people to be racist. You had woman who said she saw someone in the midnight hours with a rope. There's not been one scintilla of evidence to ever support that claim. You know, obviously this guy has mental illness because obviously in many people's mind, he's just an actor who's just a pathological liar. I mean, listen, the two brothers, even his lawyers could not even impeach them on anything. Their testimony has been so solid, there are no holes in the testimony. And, you know, he thinks he's the greatest actor in the world, you know, different from Kyle Rittenhouse, who went and testified on his behalf, and the reason why the jury voted unanimously to quit him on 3 counts. I got to tell you, it's a different bar with Jussie Smollett. Everyone knows that he's lying. They don't know why he's lying. As I said earlier, it could be mental illness. You don't want him to embarrass himself, but anything is short of him testifying, he would be found guilty. But the penalty for him in terms of jail time will be very limited. He probably will save no jail time. He'll probably pay all expenses for this trial, everything associated with it. It's just to be a slap on the wrist. But it's really sad to come back to say that they have also to create a toxic environment for racism and racists where it did not exist.
Armstrong Williams, always great to talk to you. Hope you have a great Monday.
Thank you, Jan.
Thanks for joining us.